got a rip. Ripped it? Wow.
Today I'm playing 5-10-25 on an action-packed live stream at Peaks Dallas. I go all in multiple times in huge spots, but before we begin, a quick word from today's sponsor, AG1. So I bet you're wondering, as a professional poker player, what's the secret to my morning routine?
It's 9 o'clock at night, asshole. What morning routine?
I'm here to tell you about AG1, an absolute essential in my morning, wake up routine. Since I'm sitting all day playing poker, I often don't get the proper nutrients that I need. AG1 is a daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. Some of the benefits include gut health, focus and energy, and most importantly, stress and mood balance. AG1 is an essential part of my daily habit and helps to not only jumpstart my day, but also to keep a clear mind and healthy body while playing on the felt. Now if you excuse me, gotta go make some dinner. I actually have used AG1 a bunch before this partnership because I liked how it helped me stay in a good routine with the other things in my life, and it's so easy to incorporate in my day with just one scoop and 8 ounces of water. With 75 vitamins and minerals packed in, I immediately feel more focused and less stressed. If you're looking for a super easy way to improve your health, I highly recommend giving AG1 a try. I talked with AG1 to give you guys some freebies as well. So when you go to drinkag1.com/wolfgangpoker, you're gonna get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 and 5 travel packs. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. We come into the game for $3,000, which is the maximum. After 10 p.m., we can match the stack, but for now, that's all the chips we're battling with, and I look down at Ace-King offsuit from the +2 position. I decided to raise it up to $100 over a $25 straddle, and it looks like we are going to get called by Amy in the +3 position, but not before ECH in the cutoff puts in the 3-bet to $450. Also have to be aware that the nit game is on in this spot. Good news for us is that we do not have it in front of us, but Amy does. So her call here is kind of weak. Not exactly sure what she has at the moment, but it's going to be a lot of suited aces, suited connectors, and pocket pairs. ECH knows this, so I don't expect him to be 3-betting all too light. Although, of course, he still is uncapped, meaning he has aces, kings, queens, all of that good stuff. When the action comes back around to me in the +2 position, definitely should be 4-betting a large portion, can also be calling. I think with the nit game in effect here, probably a 4-bet is the better play. I hadn't seen ECH play too many hands up until this point, so I decided to take the more passive route. Amy gets out of the way, and we are heads up to a flop. The flop comes Queen, Jack 5 with 2 clubs. Interesting board. I'm never going to be betting into the pre-flop 3-better, so I check it over to ECH. Would expect him to go for a small c-bet on this board, somewhere around 300 to 400. He decides to size up to 550. I don't hate it. Being heads up in position, you probably can go 50% of the pot here. He's still going to have jacks and queens. I can have that as well. I'll probably have more of the queen-jack suited variety. Not going to fold here with the ace of clubs in my hand. I could back into some straights. Any 10 would give me Broadway. And then runner clubs would give me the nuts. I decide to put in the call, and we see a turn card which comes the Queen of Spades. Interesting card because if he doesn't have a queen and has a hand like aces or kings, definitely a scare card. So I'm going to check it over to ECH. If he checks behind, we might have some rope to go for a bluff on the river. Of course, I would just prefer to see an ace or a king on the river, or even a 10. I check it over to ECH, and he goes into the tank for a while, shuffling the chips, and then ultimately does decide to check behind. So we have an interesting spot on the river, barring a brick, which is what we get. It comes the 9 of spades. Doesn't complete the front door club draw. Really shouldn't change too much unless he has king 10, but I'm blocking that, having the king of diamonds in my hand. So when we're left with ace high here, what kind of hands does he have? He could have a hand like King Jack or Ace Jack, which really wouldn't love to see a shove here. He also could have pocket pairs like tens. Maybe he has nines that just filled up. That would be a little scary. Eights, sevens, sixes, all of that good stuff. He also could have ace king suited. That's definitely a possibility. And then, of course, aces and kings, but I block that, having one of each in my hand. Still, I think when we arrive here with ace king high on the river, don't have too much showdown value. I want to get a lot of those pocket pairs to fold.
If he decides to bluff here, he's got to rip. Ripped it? Wow.
Oh, he did it.
Shut the front door.
This is a tough. I'm going to read these in a
I
second.
know y'all are here for Wolfgang. And he's bluffing.
Yeah, this is a big.
This is sick.
This is a big boy bluff by Wolfgang.
If I'm going to be shoving here with a lot of good hands like jacks, ace queen, and king queen, I also have to turn some hands into a bluff. Ace king is a good candidate to do it with to be balanced in this spot. ECH goes into the tank for a while. And before we show you the results of this hand, let's expose ECH's hand. He has the bullets. Oh no, is this a punt? Am I just bluffing into a hand that can't find a fold in this spot? I'm kind of using my image here though. I'm saying I have jacks full, or I have a hand like ace queen or king queen. Other hands that could be bluffing might be 10-9 suited, but I might just check having some showdown value. At the end of the day, can we get aces to fold? Yes, we do. He folds his hand. Pocket aces.
He shows the ace.
And ace king high going to take down this 4.6K pot straight out of the gate. We pull a huge bluff off. Let's go. In this next hand, the $25 straddle is on, and I look down at 7-6 of hearts from the +1. I open it to $75, which seems fine to me. Benji looks down at queen 9 of spades and 3-bets me to $250. He's going to have a pretty wide 3-betting range in a live stream game, as you can see here with queen 9 suited. I'm in early position, so he should be a little tighter than this. Little disrespect here from Benji. Are we going to punish it with a 4-bet? No, I decide to call out of position. Probably not the best recipe for success, but I didn't open from early position to fold a suited connector. And we get an interesting flop here on a 10-8 deuce board with 1 heart. Checking in flow over to Benji. This isn't a board that should connect too well with him. Don't really think he's going to have too much jack 9 and 9-7 for the straight draws. He could have pocket 10s and 8s. That makes a lot of sense, but a lot of his overcards are just going to be that, overcards on this board. So when he does go for a little bit less than half the size of the pot, things are ticking in my head here. This is definitely a board I could represent with pocket deuces, 8s, and 10s. I'll have the open-ended straight draws. I'll have some flush draws as well, and you can see my hand is pretty good with a gutter and a backdoor flush draw. I could go for a check raise here. I could just put in the call. We're playing aggressive today. I didn't come here to sit on the sidelines. I go for the check raise to $650.
Oh, Wolfgang raises. It's not a bad raise.
A little bit more than 3 times the size of his raise. With his exact hand, he can be putting in the call in position. See what I do on the turn. I also wouldn't blame him for folding. He does decide to put in the call, and he's going to want to see a jack or a spade or a queen on the turn. So, of course, we pray to the poker gods for a clean turn, and a clean turn is what we get. The 3 of hearts. Not only is it clean in the sense that Benji did not improve to a pair, it also improves us to a flush draw as well. So I'm going to continue betting here into the $1,800 pot. I like a sizing of around a jam. The reason why I like a jam here is it puts maximum pressure on all of his hands like 10-9, 8-9. Things that have me beat. Obviously, a lot of things have me beat. Ace, king, king, queen all has me beat as well. Want to put max pressure. And when we go for the jam, Benji folds his cards. We're going to take down $940 worth of profit in that one, moving us right along into the next one, ace-queen offsuit from the cutoff. The action starts with Snoopy, who raises it up to $150 from the +3 position. The $50 straddle was on, so that makes a lot of sense from Snoopy. Action's over to me, and I think I want to come in for a 3-bet with ace-queen off. Good candidate to do it, and I make it $450. You can also see that I have a yellow button next to my name, which means the nit game is on, and I am still in contention. Can't be losing this here. The action's back around to Snoopy. Don't really expect him to 4-bet, so he decides to put in the call. We are heads up, in position to a flop. Flop is not great, I can't lie. 9-5 deuce on a rainbow board, and Snoopy checks it over to me. Sure, I'm going to have all of the over pairs, so I could represent that, but I think, all in all, checking behind here is probably the better play. I do decide to go for a bet. I'm saying that I have 10s, jacks, queens, kings, and aces. And Snoopy doesn't believe it. He puts in the call. We're going to need to spike a good turn card, and that's what we get on the queen of clubs. Snoopy checks it over to me once again. Surprised that he didn't go for a check raise on the flop, trying to get a lot of hands exactly like what I have to fold. But when I make a pair here and there's 1.6k in the middle, the only thing I'm thinking about is how much can I bet here and get value from. Hopefully he has a hand like ace 9, 9, 10, something like that. And yeah, into the 1.6k pot comes a bet of $1,000. Snoopy cannot fight this battle anymore. I'm telling you a good story, and this queen is not good for his hand. He folds his cards, and we are taking down the fourth hand of the night. Unfortunately, not many other interesting hands happened in this session, but no fear, every Friday they run this live stream back. If you guys want to get on the list, hit up Peaks Dallas, an awesome place to play in the Dallas area. And yeah, this is a two-part video. So the last video was a two-parter, this one's a two-parter as well. We ended up booking a small profit in this first session, and then come back next week for another Friday 5-10 game here at Peaks. Getting right into the action, we have 3K in our stack. The lineup is pretty similar. There are a few new faces. We're going to look down here at the first hand, Queen Jack of clubs from the small blind. Seinfeld opens it up to $40 with pocket sixes, which seems pretty standard. Go puts in the call as well, so two new faces here for you guys, Seinfeld and Go. I think I like a 3-bet out of the small blind a lot more than just a call. I'll be out of position the rest of the way. I want to get some folds here, take down the dead money, but that's not what happens when I put in the 3-bet. Seinfeld, who turns out to be a pretty aggressive player on this live stream, decides to 4-bet with pocket sixes. He's going to say he has a much better hand than he has, wants to keep his range uncapped. Comes in for the 4-bet to $525. I think a fold here might be okay in some spots if you think Seinfeld is super tight, but I don't have enough information on Seinfeld to make an opinion just yet, so I decided to put in the call here. I will be out of position. He does have pocket sixes. It's a flip at this moment, and we see an interesting board, ace 10-7 with 2 clubs. Checking it over to Seinfeld seems good. Let's see if he decides to go for a C-bet on an ace-high board. Yes, he does, 1.1k in the middle, and he bets out for $400. With queen high here and a flush draw, a gutter to a straight, I think check raising here has a lot of merit. Also, just calling makes a lot of sense as well. Although if it goes check on the turn, then I'd have to bluff the river. So I think I like check raising this flop a lot more. That's what I decide to do. I check raise it a little bit north here to 1.1k. Seinfeld snap folds, and we're going to take that one down with queen high and the club draw. Moving right along, we got Benji opening up to $30. Seinfeld 3-bets with 5-3 of diamonds to $100. I decided to put in the call, actions back over to Benji. In this next hand, you see Seinfeld is 3-betting with 5-3 of diamonds. Somehow I find myself in there with ace-jack of clubs. Not before Benji decides to 4-bet to $430 with a premium.
Raise?
Wow.
5-bet.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This Seinfeld guy's nasty.
Texas poker.
I get out of the way. Benji can't take the smoke, but this hand here just shows Seinfeld is a fun player. This might set up something interesting in the future. Stay tuned for that. Somehow there's no straddle on this one. I look down at the Cowboys here in Dallas and raise it up to $40. Amy calls with her pocket threes from the button, and we're going to see a flop here of ace, king, 9. Bang, we flop middle set. I go for a C-bet. Amy folds. Easy game. Time to battle against Amy's significant other, Scott here. He raises it up to $150 over my $50 straddle. Pretty animated conversation going on behind me with a few wives of the poker players playing in the game. I decided to defend my straddle here. I don't take it too lightly when people raise me on my straddle. I'm not going anywhere with the 8-9 offsuit. We flop ourselves almost gin here. King 7-6, open-ended straight draw for the boy. I go for a check. Scott has a gutter to a straight flush, which I don't blame him. It's also a king-high board. He's going to have a lot of king-x in his range. Goes for a bet of 175, and the action's over to me. I think if anyone's more likely to have a hand like 6s or 7s, it's definitely myself. Pocket 7s is my favorite hand as well. So I decided to represent that and go for a check raise here with my open-ended straight draw, all the way up to the tune of 475. You can see immediately that Scott does not love this. He does have a flush draw, a gutter to a straight, and a gutter to a straight flush. I don't think he can fold just yet, although he does just have 10 high in the moment. He decides to put in the call, which I don't blame him for doing in the slightest, and let's go off to a turn. Turn isn't the best card for me to continue bluffing on because the hands I was representing on the flop were 6s and 7s. Now there's only one combination of 6s that I can have, being the 6 of diamonds has come out on the turn. That being said though, don't tell me that. I'm going to continue betting here and saying I have pocket 7s, my favorite hand. But just a little note for you guys, if the combinations of hands that you're representing goes down on the turn, probably not the best time to continue bluffing. 1.3k in the middle, will I go for a healthy sized bet of around $1,000? Or will I down bet here? That's what I decided to do. I go for 525, making it look like I have a super strong hand. In hindsight though, 10-9 of hearts here has a pretty easy call, I think. So I think I like a much larger bet. However, in this moment, this small bet has confused Scott. He thinks I have a better hand. And yeah, he folds his card. So we're going to get that one through with the 9 high. And sometimes power poker just gets the job done, forcing my way here to a win. 1.8k headed over to me. All right, let's cover the cards for this next hand. It's an interesting one. It's going to be Seinfeld versus me. I set this up earlier showing you how active Seinfeld was. In this spot, we see him 3-bet to 110 over a Benji open, and the action comes back around to me in the cutoff. Ace-5 of clubs, definitely a great hand to go for a 4-bet. That's what I decided to do. I've noticed that Seinfeld has been active with a 3-bet, so ace-5 of clubs should be a good candidate to go for a 4-bet. I make it $300. Benji gets out of the way. He had 10-3 of spades, so pretty active game here tonight. The action's back over to Seinfeld. Really don't expect him to have much 5-bets here. Probably just going to be doing a lot of calling, and also could be folding if he thinks I'm super strong. He does not think I'm super strong because he goes for a 5-bet to $700. But as we saw in a previous hand, he decided to 4-bet with 5-3 of diamonds. So yeah, I can't really give him too much credit. Of course, he could have queens, kings, and aces, but he's also going to have a lot of random hands. I've definitely picked up on that. Ace-5 of clubs here. Is this good enough to stick it in his face? I am blocking pocket aces and ace-king. However, it's not really the best hand in the world. Oh, what's that? Let's stick it in. 4.7k in the middle. It's not that much effective, though, because he only has around 2.3k in his stack. But yeah, we're going to play for all of it. I decided to rip it all in. And let's see what kind of cards he's playing. Oh, pocket queens. Yeah, of course, he has an easy call here. How did he have pocket queens the one time I decided to get frisky against him? That's just how poker goes sometimes. You're going to run into it when you're playing aggressive poker. We're going to run it 2 times here. We're going to see a 5 on the first board, followed by a king. We need another 5 on the river, which does not come. No worries. Let's run it 2 times. Second board, can it be of any help? Nope, we see a 10-8-6 board with 2 diamonds. King of diamonds comes on the turn, almost sealing our fate, barring any ace, which we do not get. It comes another 5. So yeah, we're going to lose that 6.1k pot. Losing $3,000 in that one hand doesn't feel great. Seinfeld got us. Probably should have given him a little bit more credit when he 5-bets. But yeah, when you show the 5-3 of diamonds earlier in the session, you're going to get paid by some fish. Just turns out that in this spot, I am the fish. All right, next hand, King 10 offsuit. I come in for a 3-bet from the +2 position. The person we're battling here is Geico, but not before Scott decides to put in the call for $90 from the button. He has a decent hand, King Jack of hearts here, and Geico decides to defend his +1 open. We are going 3 ways out of position to a flop. Flop's pretty decent for us, but it's pretty decent for everybody else as well. King 8-8, Geico flops trip, we flop top pair, and Scott flops a better top pair. You can see Geico has a stranglehold on this hand. The action checks over to Scott, who goes for a bet of $200. After Geico puts in the call, I'm not really sure if I'm ahead here, but folding a king seems kind of trivial. So I decided to put in the call, probably a losing play in the long run after it goes bet call. We see a turn card, which comes as 7 of clubs. Really shouldn't change anything, so if the action checks through on the turn, I might have the best hand. But if we face any more aggression, I probably just have to let the hand go. And that's what happens. Scott decides to bet out here for $400 now. And when Geico doesn't fold, I think my decision is pretty easy, pretty black and white here. I decide to fold top pair. Seems like a good decision. Scott is in tough shape here. Actually, Geico has a lock on the hand. So yeah, no more money coming over to Scott. I get out of the way, save myself some more money, and Geico is going to take down this pot here with the 3 of clubs on the river. Interesting spot here, nit game versus nit game. It's only between Benji and myself. Go figure here. I'm in the straddle. Benji raises it up to $75 with queen 5 of hearts. Geico decides to put in the call with a dominating heart draw, and I call as well with my ace 10, and we flop ourselves middle pair. The action checks over to Benji, who probably is incentivized to go for a bet considering he wants to get rid of his nip button. I should say that it was a significant amount, $100 a person, so $800 if we lose this nit game. and I don't have any intention of doing so. After Benji bets for $75 and Geico puts in the call with his ace high and backdoor heart draw, action's on me, and I think I like a raise in this spot. Benji's going to be betting pretty wide on this board, just trying to take it down. And when Geico doesn't raise himself, he really never has Jack 10, Ace Jack, pocket 10s, pocket 4s. So yeah, let's go for a raise here, take it down, protect my second pair, which I think is good at this moment, and it's a pretty good read. As you can see, I have 74% chance to win this. $225 is the sizing I decide to go. It's also interesting because Benji can't really just fold if he has any sort of connectivity with this board. You can see here he has backdoor hearts and a backdoor straight draw. He doesn't continue for a call though. Instead, he goes for a 3-bet to $700. Definitely pretty strange. He's saying he has a good hand at this point. I think he would just call with a lot of his draws. Still, I have second pair and I don't want to pay out $800 to the table. It is a very interesting spot. You can see Jason is laughing to my left. At the end of the day, I decide to put in the call for around $500 more, and we get a gin card on the turn, the ace of clubs. The hands that Benji's representing, I'm either way ahead or way behind, so the ace really doesn't change too much unless he has a hand like Jack 4 or Jack 10, which both are possibilities considering he is playing Queen 5 suited. I check it over to Benji, and he decides to check behind on the turn, bringing us off to the river. The river now comes the 7 of spades. Interesting spot. Do I want to bet into someone who really can't fold any pair, or do I want to check it over to him and allow him to bluff with all of his diamond draws that also really can't check behind as well? That's what I decided to do. I check it over to Benji. He has the knit button. If he wants to win with his Queen 5 of hearts, he's going to have to bluff. Unfortunately, in this one spot, Benji decides not to bluff. He's always bluffing at the table and pulling off some crazy plays. But against me, he decided not to bluff, thinking I was kind of strong in this spot. Good for him. He's going to save himself some money, but unfortunately for him, he's going to have to pay out that knit game. Let's go. All right, a few hands left to go in this live stream. Let's go mystery mode once again, cover up those cards, and let's play an interesting hand here. We see a bunch of limps over to Go, who raises it up to 100. Geico puts in the call, and I look down at King Queen offsuit from the small blind. Good spot to go for a 3-bet. I make it $500. If I can take it down, that's pretty good. If we get called, don't really think anyone has too strong of a hand when it goes raise and call. So when Go puts in the call and Geico gets out of the way, I think Go has a middling pocket pair or a suited connector at this point. We see a pretty good board, which comes ace, jack, 6, unless of course Go has pocket 6s. It's a good board for me to go for a c-bet on. I'm going to have all the ace, king, ace, queen, pocket aces, and pocket jacks. And that's what I decided to do into the 1.2K pot. I decided to bet out for $200. That's an oddly small bet from me. I think actually in the moment I went for $400, and you can kind of see by the chips, it looks like a little bit more than the $200 the graphics has. But for now, we're going to say it's $200, and just for simplicity in the graphics, go along with that. Turn comes the Queen of Clubs, giving me some showdown value, and I like a check in this spot. If he has any ace-x, he's not going to fold. And having showdown value, there's no point in turning this hand into a bluff, and I check it over to Go. I expect him to check behind with a lot of his draws, maybe turning some of them into bluffs and also betting on the turn with a lot of his ace-x and his pocket jacks and pocket 6s. After cutting out all of his chips and putting them into the middle, the bet is 1.6K, and it's nearly a pot-sized bet. Puts me in a very tough spot. Could have some heart draws. That would be some of the bluffs. Other than that, he could have a hand like King 10 that we beat, or maybe a hand like Jack 10 that we beat. Other than that, though, a lot of his stronger hands are going to be 6s, ace, jack, queen, jack, stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I decided to fold my cards, and we can see that we got bluffed. Go turned 9-8 of hearts into a shove on the turn. Maximum pressure got me to fold a much better hand. Props to him. Too bad I couldn't have flicked the chip in there and won nearly a $5,000 pot. 7-deuce game is on, and we find ourselves with it here. It's a premium when the game is on. I'm on the dealer button. Geico opens it up to 35. Of course, I have to come in for a 3-bet. We're playing it for $50 a person, so not too shabby. I decided to raise it up to the tune of $135. That clears the field. Go even gets out of the way with pocket 3s. Geico decides to defend here with ace, deuce of hearts. Just like that, we are going off to a flop in position. Flop comes ace 3-8, giving him top pair.
Wolfgang is not going to win this hand.
He might.
He might. We need a Broadway card to come
He
out.
tells that ace story.
And giving me a whole bunch of nothing. He checks it over to me. I go for a standard c-bet, and he puts in the call, bringing in a good card to continue bluffing on, the king of clubs. When he checks it over to me for a second time, I like a large sizing here. I'm going to have all the aces and kings and ace-king. Meanwhile, he shouldn't really have too much of that when he doesn't 4-bet me pre-flop. So yeah, into the $500 pot comes a nice healthy size bet here of all blacks. I make it $400 to go. You can see sizing up here on the turn, gets a better hand to fold. Ace deuce suited going down in flames. And I decided to slow roll the 7 deuce, giving everyone some false hope that I had a good hand. But no, it's 7 deuce. Everyone shipped $50 over to me. That brings us into the last hand of the night. Geico opens it up to $75. I decide to call from the hijack with my favorite hand. In my opinion, it's the best hand ever created, pocket sevens, and Benji's going to defend his straddle with 8-4 of clubs. We see a pretty good board, which comes ace 9-7. Bang! We flop bottom set. Geico bets out for $75, and I decide to put in the call on the flop. Benji's out of the way, and we see a 6 peel off on the turn. Brings in some straight draws like 8-10 and 8-5. Really shouldn't have too much of that from Geico's spot. And yeah, some diamond draws as well. When the action's on Geico here on the turn, let's see if he decides to bet or check. When he does check over to me, that's not exactly the best news because I don't really think he's checking too many aces on this turn. However, I want to keep betting with my set in case he is slow playing some sort of good hand like ace-king or ace-queen. And I bet out for $225. You can see he does have a gutter to a straight and top pair. He's going absolutely nowhere and puts in the call, bringing us off to the river, which comes the queen of diamonds. I think he could have pocket queens in this spot. I think that would bet the flop, check the turn, and then arrive on the river and have a better hand than my sevens. He also could have backed into some sort of diamond draw like king 10 of diamonds, king jack of diamonds. He does check it over to me and not lead out on this queen. So kind of discounting a lot of the hands I just mentioned that have me beat. 840 in the middle, and if I'm discounting pocket queen slightly and some of his diamond draws, that kind of puts me on some sort of weak aces that he would want to continue on the turn, or maybe some sort of 2 pair like ace 9, 9, 6, maybe 7, 6, although there's only 1 7 left in the deck. Still, I want to go large here and make it look like a bluff. There's 840 in the middle, and I decide to go for an overbet here of $1,100, which I'm really proud of myself for doing. I think maximizing and getting greedy here is definitely the play. I don't want to go small, and he snap calls me, and I think I could have got more. And this $1,100 bet puts him into the blender. He doesn't love it, but at the same time, he has a pretty good hand, kind of underplayed by checking on the turn. So yeah, after a little bit of deliberation, he thinks that this bet is polarizing, which he's correct. Could have some bluffs here. I don't know what they would be in the moment, but he thought I could have some, and he puts in the call. His ace-5 is pretty much a bluff catcher, but not tonight, Geico. $3,000 coming over my way, and I definitely needed that last hand of the night to make back a bit of the losses I've accumulated over the course of this session. Alright, you guys, that wraps up the 2 live streams I played out here in Dallas at a new card room called Peaks. Super cool spot. The first session, we ended up booking a small win, $370 in around 4.5 hours of play. Second session didn't go quite as good. Obviously, you saw we ran our ace-5 suited into Seinfeld's queens. We were stuck a bunch, and luckily Geico, he decided to donate back to the channel with ace deuce, and we had pocket sevens on the overbet on the river, so ended up losing $725 only in that second session in 5.5 hours of play. Small loss in 10 hours in the live stream, but I know if I keep putting in the hours at this exact spot, the results will speak for themselves. As for now, I'm going to head over and film another small stakes vlog over in some 1-2 streets. I know you guys liked the video I posted 2 videos ago about that. So I'm going to run that back for you guys, give you some more tips and tricks to help beat the low stakes. As for now, I'm signing off here. Good luck on the felt, you guys. I hope you run better than I did in that second session. I'll catch you in the next video as always. Peace!
Is that Wolfgang Poker?